Oh my gosh, you guys, this series is so difficult. Working on telling my story and creating these Friday feature videos for you is so emotional for me, and I'm not really sure why. It just requires me to look back over my life, relive memories, and good and bad, and grieve who I used to be, celebrate too, all that has come before and all that is yet to be, and feel it all, live it all over again and again. And anyway, I've been working on this video all week, and I've cried while I've been getting it ready for you because of all of that. But one thing I've learned about working through and processing all of my childhood abuse is this. No matter what it is, if you lived through experiencing it, you can live through talking about it. And I wholeheartedly agree with Brene Brown in her books. I highly recommend, actually, that you read everything she has penned. I just love her. It should and it will change your life, I promise. She says, the less you talk about it, the more you got it. I think that's funny. Anyway, she says shame needs 3 things to grow exponentially in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment. I know that to be true from breaking the silence about my childhood years and years and years ago and working through that for a couple of decades, but no longer allowing it to be a secret and growing through all of that. It just doesn't matter to me anymore if I'm judged or not. And so I'm finding that it's quite the same process in dealing with the loss of my former life and now being disabled. This truth and my desire to not let shame grow around my disability is a large part of why I'm so vocal and transparent about my journey. That's the selfish reason. The bigger picture is that I want to give TBI and trauma a voice. I even have a Facebook page that's called Giving TBI and Trauma a Voice. A platform to stand on so that all thrivers can be proud. Thanks to this channel and you, my wonderful viewers, and the support, the encouragement, and the empathy I receive from you, family, and friends, I'm getting there. Ms. Brown goes on to say, a lot of people are used to hiding a lot of things that are dark and painful from themselves and from the rest of the world because of shame. And in this process of hiding everything that's not colorful and perfect, not only do they end up hiding from themselves, but they also keep their wounds from healing. I know not everyone will agree with, support, or even be kind about my journey and living in my van, but I'm okay with that. I'm at great peace with that, actually, because of my faith in oneness and divine love that flows through all of us. That's my firm belief. I don't believe in any one religion. To me, God is far, far bigger than that. We are all one, and nothing will shake my belief in that, not even those who judge me or berate me. But again, just know that you will be deleted from the comments, and if you persist, you will eventually be blocked from my channel altogether. I've had enough strife in this lifetime. You can disagree all you want and say whatever you want on my channel. I don't need just positive comments, but it can't spew toxicity, hate, or pain. I've had enough of that for 10 lifetimes, and you don't get to enter my world and deposit anymore. In her book, Rising Strong, Brene Brown says, a lot of cheap seats in the arena are filled with people who never venture onto the floor. They just hurl mean-spirited criticisms and put-downs from a safe distance. The problem is, when we stop caring what people think and stop feeling hurt by cruelty, we lose our ability to connect. So I don't want to ever lose that emotion around and stop feeling hurt by cruelty, because I believe that. I believe when you become immune to it, like she said, you lose your ability to connect. Then she goes on to say, but when we're defined by what people think, we lose the courage to be vulnerable. Therefore, we need to be selective about the feedback we let into our lives. She says, for me, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I'm not interested in your feedback. So I'll say it again to you, my wonderful viewers. I want to hear from you, and all comments are welcome, even those in disapproval of what I'm doing or what I say. But you don't get to hurl mean-spirited criticisms and put-downs from a safe distance. You just don't. I'm here to hopefully bring more love and light into this world. No one gets to dim that by piggybacking on this channel. And to keep doing this, to keep putting myself out there, is one of the scariest things I've ever done. Here is one last quote from Brene Brown. Of all the things trauma takes away from us, the worst is our willingness or even our ability to be vulnerable. There's a reclaiming that has to happen. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. So it certainly feels that way with me. So with that, I want to introduce you to my earth angels that especially helped me through that period in my life after I was no longer able to work, and right up to me moving into my van, and it includes living in a tent. I never thought my life would come to that, and a lot of smug people think it never will for them, and I hope that's true, but it did for me. The people that I'm going to present to you today, my earth angels, they are in no particular order. And next week I'll feature my earth angels that help me as I try desperately to stay employed. I guess I'm kind of going backwards in my story's timeline. I hope it's not confusing. Let's start with Connie. You guys have met Connie before. She and her brother Norman take a sibling mini vacation each year, and so far I've been blessed that they chose an area for the past 2 years close to where I was camped. In 2016, they went to Page, Arizona, so Robert and I drove up and spent the day with them. This year, they flew to Cody, Wyoming, and I've already shared my camping experience there with you, as well as our flying experience with Connie and Norman that day. You can check out the description for links to see that video. What a treat that was. Thank you, Connie and Norman. Connie and I talk every week, and we have for the last 4 years. It's a ritual we are both committed to in order for our friendship to stay intact, and I'm so grateful to you, Connie, for keeping that commitment each week. Of course, there's been times when we miss a week here and there because something comes up, but it's rare. Connie is also the one that I can't talk today. Connie is also the one that graciously put me up in a hotel for a few days until we all figured out what the heck I was going to do. You all learned that in my last video. I might be able to do this without her ongoing love and support, but I'm glad I don't have to find out. I love you, Connie. And then there's my sister, Cherie. Next week, I'll share with you guys about my first 2 rigs when I talk about my working days coming to an end, because that's when I lived in those. But in between those 2 rigs and living in a tent, many of my friends and family offered for me to stay with them. So for a while, I bounced from house to house. It was heartbreaking when each one of these did not work out for one reason or another, for me and for my friends and family. I even tried moving into my ex-husband's home for a while. There were many reasons that didn't work out, but he earned his angel wings just for offering. Prior to that, once I was able to drive again, he also even bought a car for me to use for a while. Very generous, very big heart, and I will always hold him in love and light for that. So I finally moved into a tent after staying at my sister's house for a while. I love you, Cherie. She rearranged her bedroom to make room for me and my fur babies. Those days, wrapped in her love and care, are some of the most special days of my life. Her kids and grandkids, my nieces and nephews, are some of the most loving people in the world. They helped me move a few times in all of this shuffling, helped me with my storage unit, and surrounded me in loving care every single day. And it was still all way too much for me. I was having nosebleeds and TBI episodes 3 or 4 times a week. I could no longer handle being there, and it was nothing they did. I was reacting to what is known as flooding in TBI land, so I sought the solace and solitude of camping in a tent. In August and through September, in Texas, me and my fur babies were in a tent. It was brutal. But at least I was no longer having TBI episodes or nosebleeds. Fear would swell up inside me, but I never let it take me over. I was able in part to do that not only because of my faith, but because I had people checking on me all the time, and even had very special friends come visit me to lift my spirits and keep me going. Meet Steve and Beverly. They took this picture in July of this year while staying at the La Fonda Hotel in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I love these 2 people so very much. Steve and I have been friends for 35 years, and Beverly is just a beautiful angel. Here's a funny story. So me and the fur babies were living in my tent, and I was staying at this time at Cleburne State Park. And in the afternoons, to get away from the heat, I would go into Sonic and get a drink, a Dr. Pepper. or a sweet iced tea, because from 2 to 4 drinks are half price at most Sonics. So I'm sitting there, and it was a way to get out of the heat of the tent and take a drive and get something cold to drink and have the AC on my babies. And I look over at the Social Security office that was next door to the Sonic, and I'm like, well, that looks like Steve's car. And I didn't pay much attention after that. And in a little bit, I get a phone call. And about that time, I look up and I see Steve and Beverly coming out of the Social Security office and getting in their car. And it was him calling me and said, so Beverly and I are in town and want to surprise you. Where are you? We want to come see you. And by this time, they'd gotten in their car and were driving out of the Social Security parking lot. And I was like, well, you might want to stop and just make a hard right and come into the Sonic parking lot because I'm looking at you guys. That was just so awesome. How funny is that? That was a great day, and we went to lunch, and I just felt so loved and supported by them, and as I always do, and as I have Steve, like I said, for 35 years now. Love you, Steve and Beverly, so very much. So that leads me to Cindy and Sharon, who also came to see me while I was living in a tent. They have been friends of mine since high school, and so next week when I share about the jobs I tried to do to stay employed, I hope to tell you about more of my long-term friends, but they went out of their way to come see me, and I was so touched by that because Cindy is now a lawyer on the Northeast coast, and she was only home in the Dallas area for a few days. Sharon is a hospice RN, and she works crazy, crazy hours. Yet these two drove an hour and a half one way to come give me some love. How awesome is that? I have their permission to share with you, as I do from all of my friends featured on this video, but they're probably going to shoot me for some of the pics I came up with. Cindy and Sharon, I have no words to express how grateful I am that we are still in touch. Thank you for that visit that day, and thank you for being two of my earth angels. I love you, gals. And last but certainly not least is another one of my beautiful nieces, Samariah. She is the main reason I am able to share most of these pictures with you today. You see, when I got around to letting go of the last of my things that would not fit into my van, I was able to part and parcel a lot of it out to family and friends. But it was the thousands of pictures that I mainly didn't know what to do with. It's not like that's something you want to just throw away, right? But even if I'd wanted to take them with me and try to scan them, there is no way they would fit into my van. And so I was pretty distraught about it. I really was. And here came Sam to the rescue. She took all of my photos and the boxes and ice chests full of loose photos and photo albums that literally filled up her mom's SUV. But she did it, and she has been busily scanning them and making them available for me to view online ever since. I'll be honest, I can only look at the pictures in small chunks. Some of the memories are tough ones. It's a balance for me between trying to make a new life of who I am now and what I can do and can't do, and looking at those pics and grieving and celebrating all that is and all that was. Samariah, honey, you didn't have to step up for me like that, but I'm so glad you did so that these memories aren't lost forever. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. You know that. Sam also graduated college from my alma mater, University of North Texas in Denton, and I'm so proud of her. I gave her my cap and gown to wear at her graduation. That was one of the proudest moments of my life, Samariah. Again, I love you, sweetheart.
Hi, Aunt Deborah. I just want to tell you I love you and I miss you, and I know you're having a blast on all your adventures. And thank you for always sending us updates and sharing the beautiful pictures with us. And I hope you have very safe travels.
So that was my Feature Friday today. I hope you enjoyed it. See you down the road, everybody.